The tricky part is that, so A is 2. H is always inside, but it's the opposite of what you see. So it's not a -3. What are you going to tell me on the quiz Friday? H is what? +3. And K is the number you see in the back. But we don't see a number back here, right? So what is that number? Huh? 0. There's an invisible 0. You can actually add that 0 if you want to. So let's talk about our transformations. Because A is 2, what is that going to make the graph do? This is what you need to study for Friday. So in your note packet, go ahead, take out your notes and go to page 5. So look at your notes, go to page 5 in your note packet. And look at those boxes. Or take a picture of it and fill it in later. Okay, so what is when A is 2, what is that going to make it do? Yeah, she has the notes, so you can, when you're finished, hand it to him so you can take a picture of it. So when A is 2, what does it make it do? Sorry, Juan. Stretch. Alan. Okay, H is 3. What does H do to the graph? Does it go left, right, or up and down? Left and right. So because H is positive, when it's positive, what does that do to the graph? I need somebody other than Juan to get an A Friday. Goes to the right, 3. K is 0, so it's not going to go up or down. All right, number 2, go ahead, fill in your A, H, and K. What is A? A is the number in front of x squared. So the number in front of x squared is this right here. What is that number? Rylan, what's this number? Well, it's not positive because there's a minus sign. So it would be a -1. We only flip what's inside of the parentheses. So do you see parentheses for this question? Do you see how this one doesn't have any parentheses? So what do you think that means? H is what? If you don't see parentheses, that means H is 0. H is always inside the parentheses. So if you don't see parentheses, that just means that H is 0. And then what's our number to the back? What is this number? -4. That would be our K. All right, so looking at your page, when A is negative, what does that do to our parabola? Flips down. Because A is negative, it's going to reflect down, which means that now our graph is a frown. It's going to look like a frown. Whenever A is negative, it's upside down like a frown. Does this graph go left or right? If H is 0, will your graph go left or right? Nope, does not go left or right. What about your K value? What's K? So Leo, what do you think is going to happen to the graph? Because K is -4. What's that going to do to your graph? Look at your notes if you don't remember. What does K do? Down, yep. So it's going to go down 4. Okay, that page is a really important part of your test Friday. So we have to know that page. We'll make a flashcard or something on Wednesday. All right, so let's practice graphing. So now go to your notes. So your quiz on Friday is out of 25 points, but this question on its own is 8. 8 points out of 25. That's 30% of the test in one question. So I need everybody's phones put away, please, and thank you. I do not want to have to call home today. It's Monday. Let me live. Let me be great. So go to page 6 in your notes, and let's practice this. First thing I want you to do is fill in your A, H, and K. Looking at these three. A is always in front of the parentheses or in front of X. So in this example, A would be -2. Now because A is -2, it's going to make the graph flip. I'm going to say reflect though. So it's going to reflect down, and it's going to stretch because A is -2. Okay, so now let's look inside of our parentheses. So King, what is H? 3. It's +3. Now, because it's a +3, remember, H moves the parabola left and right. Because it's positive, it's going to go right 3. And then lastly, you have this number. That would be my K. So K is 2, and that's going to make the graph go up 2. All right, so as I mentioned, this is an 8-point question on Friday. What I want you to do first, because you get 1 point for just graphing the parent, and these 5 points are your parent. I'm just going to write them off to the side. Your parent table, your parent, go ahead and plot these 5 points on your graph. It should look like a smile. The parent is a smile. So I want you to take a minute, plot those 5 points, and graph it. Does anybody need a calculator? Yep. Okay, so now let's apply our transformations. So we have our parent, that's worth 1 point. Now let's apply our transformations. And if you look at the top tells you how to apply your transformations. It says, to these 5 numbers, you're gonna add H. So what is H? H is 3. So I want you to pick up your calculator and add 3 all the way down. Go ahead and do that. Add the 3. It says CCRC. CCRC. Okay. All right. Okay. So when you add the 3 to x, then you would have your new x values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who had that? All right. So now, what does it tell you to do to your y? See how we use A and K. We have to multiply these numbers by A and then add K. Well, A is -2. And what's K? 2. So pick up your calculators. Now, the thing about these 5 numbers is that they repeat. So take a minute and figure out what these 5 numbers are. Now, because this is such a big part of your test Friday, this one question, here you go, Leslie. This one question is worth so many points. I wanted us to have even more practice. So when you multiply it by -2 and add 2, what did you get for that first number? -6. Okay. And then what did you get? 0. And then what did you get? 2. And then you should repeat. All right, go ahead and plot these 5 points. Now this graph, when you graph these, this should look like a frown because we made our A value negative. So the parent is a smile, but when we do our transformations, it should look like a frown. Oh, I did not graph the parent, did I? Let me graph the parent. Okay, and that's what your graph should look like. Okay, I forgot to fill this in, but who remembers where's our vertex? How do we figure out the vertex? Which 2 letters do we use? H and K, good. So your vertex is at 3, 2. See, when you look at this graph that we just graphed right here, the top of this frown is at 3, 2. This is your vertex. This is my vertex, that point. All right, so let's switch to our extra practice. We're going to do this a couple more times, and then that's it. The first thing I want you to do is graph the parent. So I want you to graph that parent on our extra practice. Start off by graphing the parent. And then we'll do our transformations. All right, this is worth 1 point Friday. You get 1 point for just graphing the parent. And these 5 points will never change. So go ahead and graph this on your extra practice. Okay. Cortez, what would you say for A, H, and K? Perfect. -1 is in the front. H is always inside, but the opposite, and 5 is to the back. Who agrees with Cortez? All right, what would you say for your vertex? Who wants to tell me that? Where is the vertex going to be? Juan, -2, 5. Good. All right, somebody else. What about my transformations? Because A is -1. What is it going to do? Reflect down. Let's write that. So now this one, because it's negative, this negative is going to make it look like a frown. All right, what about that -2? What is that going to do to my graph? Go left 2. Good. And then lastly, what about that +5? Over here, somebody. Up 5. Good. All right, so now we got to pick up our calculators. So to this column, you're adding H. H is what? What did we say H was? H is -2. So you're going to pick up your calculators. And I want you to start adding -2. Go ahead and do that. Raise your hand if you're absent Friday. Okay. You weren't here Friday, right? You had no way. All right, good. So we added -2. So who got -4? And notice how these numbers are just all in a row. Who got that? So now for your y side, you're multiplying by a and adding k. So you're going to multiply by -1 and then add 5. Go ahead and do that. Pick up your calculators. You all did pretty good. Most of you already got it. So what did you get for your first y value? 1. What did you get for your second y value? 4. What did you get for your third y value? And then the fourth, did you get a 4 and a 1 again? All right, let's plot them. So -4 up 1. -3 up 4. It's a little messy, but that should be your graph. All right, I want you to do that last question all by yourself.